have dealt with extreme levels of narcissism, where I gave a different example in a different platform, that where people said that if they are not there, the whole organization and the whole revolution will not exist. That if they are not there as individuals, anything that they are not part of is not revolutionary. And a person says that even privately to themselves, like, you realize that some of the problems that we have encountered are far much more larger. But one thing which we decisively had to nip in the bud, we are not generations that existed in parts of the anti-colonial movements and the independence movements in the African continent. You must go and check people who surrounded Mobutu Sese Seko and Idi Amin and Blaise Compaoré of Burkina Faso. All of them, they were just giving them support even when they were doing wrong things. Some of us realize that we can't support rubbish. If we realize that some of the features that define people represents counter-revolution, we disassociate from that. And I can tell you now that some of those projects will not be sustainable because those people do not carry the intellectual fortitude and the spiritual fortitude to could carry a movement forward in a consistent and dependable way. If anything, they're going to devour those movements for self-enrichment until they're not identifiable. That is what we have dealt with, but it's a topic for a different day. I see a lot of comrades that we served with in the Youth League, in the Young Communist League, also in the Economic Freedom Fighters. And comrades, this process that we're engaged in here is truly towards building a movement. And a movement, yes, will have individual membership, but must also have affiliate membership. It's basically a platform where all progressive forces must gather. Why do we have 38 forums in Metsimaholo? Let's consolidate those forums and have one under the movement of Africa iMayibuye. We choose the best amongst all the 23 wards of Metsimaholo, and then we field candidates for local government elections and take that municipality. There is a lot of potential that can be derived out of Metsimaholo, obviously because of Sasol, because of the tourism potential that can be maximized from the river as well. There is a power station of Eskom as well in Metsimaholo, which, if properly managed and economic resources are aligned, there's a lot of opportunities that can accrue to the people of Zamdela and all the surrounding areas. It just needs focus. The other issue is Mangaung. I'm even tempted that maybe we must meet next week to start preparing for takeover. Because everything else in Mangaung, and for many years now, have not been going all right. There's a problem of sewerage spills everywhere. I mean, you've got a metropolitan municipality that can build a taxi rank. Like, absolutely nothing works. There's no major developments and changes that have happened in Tabanchu, in Botshabela, and here in the township in Mangaung. There is nothing that is changing in Bloemfontein. Let's constitute and organize ourselves properly and start this year to campaign for local government elections. And we must objectively choose credible and capable candidates for all the 51 wards of Mangaung. So the method of leadership election which we're going to propose must be included in Africa iMayibuye would be a combination, yes, of popular support, but also deliberative democracy. So if a person wants to be available, we must discuss that, but why? And what are the advantages and disadvantages of this comrade being available? What value do they add? We must reason each other, because if you just subject it to ballot can be influenced by money, ballot can be influenced by nepotism, ballot can be influenced by so many wrong things. We have to institutionalize the system of deliberative engagement before we choose those who must lead. And they must speak for themselves as well. And they must be held accountable even for personal decisions. You can't say that, no, for me drinking alcohol and taking off my t-shirts and sleep on the side of the road is my personal private issue. It's not a private issue if you want to lead society. You can't say that your domestic disputes with your spouse, beating your wife, is a private issue. It's not a private issue if you want to lead a ward and you want to be a councillor. Everything else must be laid bare so that we are able to deliberate much more clearly and choose the best of the best who are going to lead society and take us forward. And we must be truly representative and reflective of the views of the people. Do you know, there are very unfortunate developments which, and I know sometimes because you do not want to cause unnecessary discord and everything else. So there's a huge difference between Pan-Africanism, progressive Pan-Africanism, and undocumented migration. It's not the same thing. So we wrote the founding manifesto of the EFF, and it is clearly distinguished that we should advocate for the gradual integration of the African continent so that the economy functions clearly for everyone. There is nowhere that say there must be undocumented illegal immigration. But you'll have a person who will go and say during elections like that if you are going to be xenophobic, if you don't want these people, you must go and hide your vote, go and jump with your vote. And unprovoked. Even when there is no question about that. And that time, majority of the people are saying, we have got a problem with undocumented people here in our society. And then so I don't care. And that time you want to lead society, but you don't care about what people say. Even if you can be correct, you can't override the views of the majority. Every time the views of the majority are correct, majority in many instances, they are correct that in terms of the decisions that they take, but to be dismissive all the time is not leadership. Because leadership means that you must be able to represent the aspirations, the views of the people. The people are busy with something else. They are raising their children. They are involved in agriculture. They are involved in medicine, in a variety of other professions. And then they say that when we are busy here with these other things, we now go and represent us there in the government. So we're going to tell you, all of us here, what we stand for. Your role there is to represent us. It's not to come and tell us what we think. It's not to come and impose on us what our values are. That is why even this process that we're engaged in, we're saying we can't just come and say to the people of the Free State that this is what we think your problems are. We must know what are the challenges of the people, and we must hear that from the people themselves so that we are able to articulate. No matter how intelligent or sophisticated you think you are, You can't replace the wisdom of the collective. You can't. You can't replace the wisdom of the collective as to what they think should happen moving forward. Comrades, we are going to, in the 19th of July, we're going to call all the youth activists who associate with iMayibuye to discuss what will be the role of the youth in this process, but also to discuss the possible formation of a youth movement and a youth structure that is going to be either iMayibuye Youth League or iMayibuye Youth Movement, so that we take that shape. Because young people must be at the forefront of the struggles, must define the pace, the agenda, the content, and character of every revolution. And that is what we are going to do. Same with the women. We're going to have the same process. We've got a convener already of the women's structure, Comrade Nontantla Dlamini. And she has been in leadership of a structure called Women in Power, which was not a talking instrument, which was involved in multiple programs in agriculture and a variety of other empowerment programs. So when the comrade here was speaking about programs, it's something which Comrade Nontantla Dlamini was at the forefront of in terms of the manner in which it is. So the movement that we're working on is truly going to be a movement that is not contesting for political power because we want to go and have some seat in parliament without being government. No, we're not forming a movement to be opposition. We're forming a movement to be government of South Africa. And our political opponents now includes all the political parties that are in parliament. The opponents, not enemies. Amongst them, there might be enemy forces. And amongst the political parties that are in parliament, there are scams as well. Like full scams. Do you know, comrades, if we were to give a recount of what happens in some of those political parties, you will be shocked. Full scams. Like, so in parliament you have got political parties which are a scam. A fraud. Like imposters. And that is what we're dealing with. And the good thing, some of us have got intimate knowledge of all these formations the other day, including the erstwhile liberation movement. I can tell you now that even these things that they are putting a commission of inquiry on, they knew that what is happening. That is their modus operandi. They work like that. And then they act shocked and then act like they're taking decisions. They're being decisive. They're not being decisive. Even the whole commission of inquiry on Senzo Mchunu, it's a scam as well. It's an attempt to divert attention. They are saying the time period is 6 months. I can tell you in 6 months the commission would have not started. They will still be discussing points in Lumina. Those who are studying law here, they are the law students here. They will still be discussing what are the technicalities, who must sit where, which camera must look at what direction for the commission to start. And before you know it, everyone else would have forgotten that there was a minister of police, and then the next thing is going to be announced that, no, we've redeployed Comrade Senzo as a minister of water again. Why? Because they are the same faction with Mr. Ramaphosa. Remember they were in the same factional slate. I think they were even plotting now to fill Senzo as a candidate. Until Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi came decisively to expose an imposter. And that is what should define all of us. The courage of General Mkhwanazi should define all of us. On everything else that we do, we should speak with courage. We must tell lies whenever they are told. We must mask no difficulties. We must never mislead our people. We must never claim easy victories. We must be guided by what Cabral says at any given point. And that is the modus operandi, that there is no one who is going to intimidate us from telling the truth about any issue. No one. And so that the people of South Africa should know what they're dealing with. And that, by the way, does not mean that we're going to waste our time concentrating on other political formations. Let's shape the future together. Let's identify what are the priority issues that we must deal with. Let's localize our demands as well. When we go to local government elections, there must be a manifesto for Mafube in Fezile-Dabi, for Mutaka, for Metsimahulu, for Nwate. That speaks to the specifics there. In Mofutanyana, there must be a manifesto for Mantsupa, for Dihlabeng, for Tsoto, for Maluta Pufung, for Pumelela, for each and every locality of what are the issues that are confronting the people there. And the people who will generate the manifestos are the residents of that municipality. They will tell you, this is what we want in Machabe. This is what we want in Nala. This is what we want in Masilunyan. This is what we want in Litsimeng, in Mohokar. Localized manifestos that speak to the aspirations of our people. Not some team of so-called experts who use artificial intelligence to write manifestos in a head office somewhere in Johannesburg. And that is how the leaders get to be detached from society. They get to be detached from society, and we can't be detached from society. We will never be detached from society. Kauhile knows that from the youth league period, some of us have always been on the ground. Like it's not because of EFF or MK that we interact with the people on the ground throughout the activism. As a student leader, even when I was working now with the Communist Party and COSATU, we'll go to all corners of South Africa to interact with our people, to understand their interest. If you don't go to the ground, you'll be like Thabo Mbeki, who says that no, our people don't want land, they don't want to be involved in agriculture. And you wonder, which country does he live in? Our people want land. Our people want agricultural instruments. Our people want to be assisted with basic things to produce food for themselves. But because he has never been on the ground, he speaks from Kilani. Says, no, our people are not interested in the land and agriculture. That is why they are here in the cities, in informal settlements. And then, as if that is not enough, his younger brother comes to repeat the same nonsense. But if you go to the ground, go and listen to the people who are living around Ismangaliso Wetland Park in Mkhanyakude, where the Secretary General comes from in Jozini, Mkhanyakude, in Mtubatuva, Big Five Labis, Mhlaba Lingam, All those people are fighting for access to Ismangaliso Wetland Park because that wetland, you do not need an irrigation scheme. You can be able to grow a lot of cash crops and harvest 2-3 times, if not 4 times per year, because it's a wetland which does not, the rain comes from below. But if you are locked up in an office somewhere, you will say, no, the people don't want the land. They don't want to be involved in any form of agriculture, which is wrong. Now, comrades, we are going to, during this week, before Friday, we will finalize the leadership component of the Free State. We had said when we announced the leadership of other provinces that we'll come back to finalize the leadership of Free State. We did not announce the leadership of Free State because the comrades that were identified were only males. And we can't announce an all-male leadership. The leadership of iMayibuye in all the structures must be gender balanced and must be geographically balanced in terms of where they come from. And there must be generational mix as well. And there must be combination of different skill sets. So we couldn't announce leadership without having covered that basic ground of making sure that all these basic principles are met. Because if we had announced 4 males only, when we're going to bring the other ones to join them later, they were going to always remind them that you arrived late when I don't know what we're busy with. That issue was handled in the first meeting. So we want the leadership to start at the same time. And then the immediate task must be to visit all the regions, get the volunteers in all the regions to discuss who plays which roles, because we want a process of identifying regional structures, 15 members per region, and then sub-regional structures. All the local municipalities must have a structure and must be given membership forms, which are written volunteer forms now, but the declaration says that volunteer will be converted into membership after certain process of the IEC are concluded. But we start recruitment now. When we announce the organization after a national convention, it must already be in existence in all the municipalities. It must be present on the ground. It must not be present in social media and somewhere on television screens. When people hear in Lise, DFM, in Motseding, in all the announcements that there is a new party, Africa iMayibuye movement, when they get out of their homes, they must know that in the locality here, there is somewhere where I can join Africa iMayibuye. And not be stuck for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Before you know it, they will even forget that they had developed interest in that. So we're in the process of systematically and systemically organizing ourselves on the ground so that we can have a solid organization. If people that we used to belong to as members before have got a problem with that, they can take their membership. We are not going to beg membership of scams. We are not going to beg membership of any scam arrangement. We are going to constitute this process and give it as a platform to lead our people to common prosperity. And decisively so, without any fear, without any contradiction, without any doubt, without any form of hesitation. And comrades who have made the commitment in all the platforms and will make here as well and to all the people of South Africa that we are not going to make any mistake in this process, not once. We are not going to make any political mistake. We are not going to make even personal mistakes. We are not going to be found in spaces where we're not supposed to be. We're not going to drink alcohol and be carried and both our legs are up in the sky in taverns, and we call ourselves leadership after that. We're going to respect this process with everything and disassociate from many other things which are not necessary for this process. So we'll conduct ourselves with optimal discipline and respect. So don't worry that, hey, Floyd might make a mistake, he will throw a tantrum. We're not going to throw any tantrum against anyone. Even if they provoke us, we're never going to be provoked. We're not provocable now. We're going to work with utmost discipline because we know that at the center of every successful revolution is optimal discipline, and that is what is going to guide all of us. So let's go, comrades, all of us, in a disciplined way to consolidate the ground. We did say that we had thought we will give the membership forms here, but it will be chaotic because we will not know where to submit membership to. So allow us these 2-3 days to identify leadership, and then we will announce publicly. And then the leadership that is announced for the entire province will then be assigned to regions. They will distribute the membership forms, visit all the regions, and then we'll start the process of recruitment. I'm 100% sure that here in the Free State, even within 14 days, we can be able to come back with not less than 20,000 members. The people of the Free State have already said farewell to all these other parties. They have been waiting for an alternative. Let us give them iMayibuye as an alternative. I want other leaders to speak as well, to reflect on the questions that I could not cover. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.